My script. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 LISD School Board Candidate Forum. My name is Carrie Baker. I am the president of the LISD Council of PTAs, and so on behalf of our council, thank you for being here tonight with us, whether you're here in person or joining us online, wherever you are. We are proud to host this annual forum as part of our commitment to an informed and engaged community. This evening is an opportunity to hear directly from the individuals seeking to represent our families, our schools, and our students. We know that school board elections matter, and our goal is to provide a space where voters can listen, learn, and make thoughtful decisions. As we begin, we want to share two important reminders about PTA. PTA is a nonpartisan organization, and PTA does not endorse candidates. We focus our advocacy on issues that support the success and well-being of children and youth. Tonight's forum is being streamed live on the Lewisville ISD Council of PTA's social media platforms, and we will have a recording available on our website afterward for anyone who isn't able to join us live. We are honored to welcome Mr. Calvin Dorsey, President of Dorsey Management Services, as our moderator this evening, and we have Angela Llewellyn here keeping time for us from the League of Women Voters, and we are so grateful for them to be here lending their expertise to make this event possible. And with that, Mr. Dorsey, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Round of applause for our presenter here. Good evening, everyone. Joining us as candidates are Catherine Sells, unopposed candidate for single-member District 2, Jenny Prosnick, unopposed candidate for District 3, and Sheila Taylor and Ryan Echols, candidates for at-large place 7. This evening, to make sure that everything moves smoothly and start on time and end on time, we have our timekeeper, Angela Llewellyn.
So this evening's forum format will be this. Mr. Dorsey will ask each candidate to have a 2-minute opening statement, after which time we will have a series of questions where each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. I will be there in front of you with time cards. I'll keep time and hold up the cards indicating when you have 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then 0 time remaining. I will also say time if your answer continues past the time limit. We will close the forum with each candidate presenting a conclusion no longer than 2 minutes.
There was a drawing prior to the start of our program to determine the rotation. For round 1, the opening remarks, Jenny Prosnick will go first, Catherine Sells will go second, Ryan Echols will be our third speaker, and Sheila Taylor will close the opening remarks. This will be a continuing 4-person rotation, a staggered rotation, and you'll see how it works out to be fair to everybody, until all the questions have been answered and the candidates have given their closing statements. Is our timekeeper ready? Okay, let's get started. First question. Beginning with Jenny, and we've got you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dorsey. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Jenny Prosnick, and I am fortunate enough to not be opposed in my run for District 3 on the Lewisville Independent School District Board of Trustees. I first want to thank the Lewisville ISD Council of PTAs for hosting us tonight. I'm a proud member of every PTA in the district because I believe in the work that you all do throughout the district, and I'm thankful for that. While I'm running for District 3, I believe that every trustee represents every student across our 127 square miles, and not just those in their proximity to their homes. I will work together with my fellow board members to ensure to continue to engage, inspire learners and leaders, and that all the families within our district feel served and welcomed on all of our campuses. These are challenging times for public education, but I believe that LISD remains the best choice to provide opportunities for all students. As a dedicated member of this board, my goal has always been to ensure that our district provides every student the opportunity to reach their full potential. And as an organization, we excel in transparency, accountability, and integrity. As I seek re-election, my pledge to you is simple: to maintain our district's high standards, to build upon our successes, and to ensure that LISD remains a beacon of educational excellence. So there's some of the things that are important to me. I'm always eager to hear what's important to you via your questions tonight, and I look forward to answering them. Thank you all so much for sharing your time tonight.
Thank y'all so much. And once again, I echo the sentiment to the Lewisville ISD Council of PTAs. I had the privilege of serving as its former president, and I will tell you, PTA has always been important to me. And if you hear my story, you know that still sitting beside my bed is my dad's PTA membership card from 1973. And so it was important to me when my mom gave me all of the things back when I got married and got a house of my own, and she gave me all of my stuff back to me. That card was in my mementos. And it was because it was important to me that my parents were very active in our education. My dad was a high school dropout. My mom had not so good experiences in high school. She graduated early because she got her credits, but then was not allowed to walk because she had done her completion in December. And so it made it a reality to me that I could serve on this board and bring some unique perspectives to this board. And so in 2016, I was elected to this board. I will tell you I am unopposed, but I tell everyone that I talk to these days, I'm not unappreciative. I'm not unappreciative of the 3 times that I have been elected to this board with opponents. I'm not unappreciative of the voice that you give me in Austin and on this dais. And so I have 2 graduates. Right now they're both in graduate school, but I did not just disconnect from our students when they graduated. I have a mentee, and I was proud enough to hand her diploma last year. I had her since 4th grade at Central Elementary. And this year I have picked up a new mentee at Rockbrook Elementary. And so I look forward to her also walking that stage. But thank you all for your support, and thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Ready? Perfect. Hey, everybody. My name is Ryan Eccles. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a district graduate. I'm a product of public schools. My mother is a retired teacher. My brother is a teacher. I have 3 aunts who are teachers. My grandmother is a either well-known or notorious substitute in the district, depending upon your perspective. She talks a lot. And then both my grandfathers were involved in education. And so I'm here because I'm worried that the district is at a inflection point. I think that we need to make sure that when we're facing the big existential crises that we have, which is budget constraints and falling enrollment and dropping grades, that we're approaching these issues sensibly and with a long-term oriented approach to try and find success, not just for the current students, but students for generations. And so I'm grateful to be here with you all. I'm excited to dig into the issues and answer some of these questions about how I would approach these problems and the expertise that I would bring to the board. And so I just want to, again, express my gratitude for being here and for being invited, and I look forward to the questions and forum to come. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. Of course, it goes without saying that I love PTA, and thank you to the Lewisville Council of PTAs, Lewisville ISD Council of PTAs. Happy to be here. That's how I got started. People were like, why are you running for the school board? I had made a huge investment for my child to attend Primrose, and my little kindergarten was now going to public school. I was a helicopter parent, nervous about what might happen to my baby in school. So I became a room mom so I could be around and it would be okay. I also decided to join the PTA. I asked about the budget because I am a CPA and I left as the treasurer, so I know not to do that going forward. But what I found was an environment and a district where she could thrive, where she was loved on, she was supported, she was included, the environment was safe, it was welcoming, and she really thrived. She really received an excellent education those first few years, and she has continued on as well as other opportunities with extracurriculars. She is a freshman now, and what I found was I wanted to help provide that same environment for other students, for other parents that were nervous about their children attending the district, attending LISD. And what I wanted to make sure was that I could contribute to that same environment, foster that same environment, to give a voice to the parents, to make sure that they were heard as well, and to bring the community together. And of course, I wanted to use my financial background to help with some of the problems that I saw from a financial standpoint. It has been my honor to serve in this role for the past 3 years. And as we go through the questions, I asked you not, what am I going to do? I've been doing the work. So it's not about what I'm going to do. I ask you to look at my record, search my record, and see if I need to be fired or if I have deserved the right to come back to this board. I think I have earned the right to come back to this board.
Let's have a round of applause for all of our candidates. Let's begin. Jenny, in what ways have you been involved in your children's public school prior to becoming a candidate for the school board?
Oh, wow. Let me go back into the recesses of history. I certainly became involved in my children's school through PTA. I volunteered. I went to Austin on a couple of occasions when they had the drive to Austin for the PTA rally days. I was a room mom. Never do that again. I was involved in their education, that I met with their teachers. I was so lucky that in Lewisville ISD I had teachers who wanted to partner with me in my child's education, especially when it came to high school. When I had concerns about my daughter's biology grade. She's going to love hearing this. And I went to the assistant principal at the time, and I said, the grades aren't being put in a timely manner. However, I can't partner with you if I don't know what the information is to have. And so that was a really productive way that I got involved and had a problem solved with my child.
Okay. Catherine.
Well, of course, you've already heard that I moved up. I went to a meeting, and then somebody said, hey, you could do that. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I could. And then I ended up in the LISD Council of PTA's president position. But partnering with the district and my kids was really about the PTA mission of making every child's potential a reality. My children are very different. My oldest son is very quirky, I would say. He's very smart. He was a National Merit Scholar. But we had some issues early on in his education with LISD. And I will tell you that when they were brought to the administration's attention, they were met head on. And from that day forward, I decided to walk hand in hand, not only with my child, but also with the district in his learning. And that I continued to do until they both graduated. And now I continue to do that with my mentees.
So as I think I said at the beginning, my wife and I are expecting our first child, which is really exciting. It's been a long journey and struggle to get here, and so we're very grateful. And as a graduate of the district, I'll admit I took for granted our schools and our board and our process, because in many ways, I got mine and it was all good. But with our first kid on the way, you really start to think about how you want them to go through the process. And so we started investing in our local schools in terms of okay, is everything cool? And fortunately, a lot of the same teachers that literally my wife had growing up, because she was a product of LISD too, a lot of her teachers were still there. And so we were connected to the teachers, and we've unfortunately observed some of the decisions that have made around like school closures and the process around that. And so my involvement is being here, trying to make a difference, trying to make sure that people are aware of how I think decisions should be made going forward.
So as far as my involvement, as I mentioned, I got involved with PTA early on, and I started as treasurer. I moved to secretary, vice president, I think twice, maybe it was administration in some other part, and then I became president of the PTA at Valley Ridge Elementary. Then we moved to middle school at Huffines, where I became the president. I was elected president, and then I was elected to the board. But then I went into more of a supervisory role with communications, and so I did that. And then here in high school, I am also the VP at LHS Kilo. I also received the the PTA Lifetime Honorary Member Award. I also served on the Community Budget Finance Committee for the district, as well as the School Health Advisory Council. So I've been showing up a long time, and just excited to possibly come back. I've given my heart and soul to this district, and I plan to continue to do so.
Catherine, in 2024-2025, the LISD board worked to reduce a $40+ million budget deficit to approximately $4 million. With increasing property values, declining student enrollment across North Texas, and the ongoing impact of recapture, deficit budgets are expected to remain a challenge. What measures would you propose during the 2025-2026 budget workshops to address future deficits?
Well, one of those things that you first have to remember is it's not what I want. It's what our Board of Trustees wants. We are a team of 8. We work together along with our superintendent to make those decisions. And so I think, and we also never make those decisions without community input. We have more advisory councils and more advisory committees than I would bet any other district in the state of Texas has. And it's through those expertise of those people that we see, but it's also the expertise of our superintendent and our administration. We are here as an oversight team. We do not manage the day-to-day operations, but whatever decisions we make, I make those decisions and remove my emotions, because it's really easy to get involved in your emotions when making those decisions, but at the same time, you have to know that it's for the entire district.
So in terms of deficit spending, it's going to depend in a lot of ways on what comes out of this legislative session. We're looking right now, if everything were to stay the same, the district would get about $25 million from the state in terms of the basic allotment increases as well as the other things. Independent third parties say that the district would get about $550 per student. And so that would obviously allow us a little bit of wiggle room as we try and sort things out. Another part of that is the golden penny change that's being proposed. What we need to be able to do is if we want to increase our operational budget, we have to go in ways that won't be subject to recapture, like the golden pennies. We're capped out right now, but again, they're trying to change the system. And so I think that we could increase that if we're able, but we need to lower the INS rate at a commensurate value, if not greater than that, to reduce overall property taxes. And I got 4 seconds, so I can't talk more about it, but I'd love to if I get the chance.
So as far as what are we going to do to control deficit spending, again, I'm not talking about things that I would like to do. We've already done that. We've gone out for a beta, and we are thankful to the community for passing that. We have also lowered the INS rate that saved households on average $200. So we've done that. What else have we done? We created, or should I say Dr. Rapp created, the Program Budget and Review Committee. I serve on that with Dr. Bonner, President Prosnick, and myself. And we've gone line by line at looking at all the costs to see what we can do to make sure we keep those cuts out of the classroom and that we don't lay off teachers. But everything else is on the table. And as Ms. Sells mentioned, we work together as a team to make those decisions. This committee comes up with recommendations, but then the whole board gets together to decide, because at the end of the day, we want to ensure the financial sustainability and longevity of this district, not just for my kid, but for kids to come, generations of kids to come.
So the deficit that we have is, once again, it's 10% of where we started. And that is in large part due to our community stepping up and voting for the Vader. It is also in large part for steps that we did take. We changed our middle school schedule. The largest part of our budget is people. And so without doing a reduction in workforce, with working through attrition, we've been able to get that down to a little over $4 million. I'm very proud of that as a board member. And as far as our INS rate, and you said bringing that down, when I started on the board, our tax rate was $1.47, and today it is $1.11. That is a difference of over 35 cents. So I'm very proud of that reduction in my time here on the board. The Denton Central Appraisal District is the one that decides how much your house is worth, but I'm proud as a board that we have brought that tax rate down my entire 9 years on this board.
Brian, what do you see as the potential benefits and drawbacks of the ESA system as currently proposed? And how might it affect schools, families, and students in LISD?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you an answer you probably won't like, and that's that I'm not an expert on this issue, but I'd like to be. And I think that goes to a fundamental level of what it means to be a board member. We sit on this board as a representative of the community, and you have to be a conduit of the community. And so in that regard, I think that it's one of those issues that really requires the expertise that is outside of just any one person. And so I want to be open and available and accessible to better understanding the impacts and the drawbacks and the benefits so that we can make sure that we're making the right decision for all students in the district.
The reason I fought so hard and advocated so hard against vouchers is because I thought it was going to create a situation where we were going to have our students segregated by class. I still believe that, because I believe what happens with the vouchers is it's really a discount to people that can already afford to go to those schools. And it will, private schools or schools that are accepting vouchers, they do not have to accept every kid. You know, if you need special ed services, they don't have to accept you. If you have English as a second language, they don't have to accept you. They can really have any reason to, behavioral issues, attendance issues, they don't have to accept you. Public schools educate everybody. And so what I see is people, those students that don't have those issues going to private schools, and then the schools being left with the students that need more services, but now we have less money because the money has been funneled to those private schools. So that's what I think will happen, and research proves that.
I'm just going to continue on that and say that the way the current bills are written, currently they're giving 3% of that $1 billion to the comptroller to oversee it, another 5% to TEA to certify that the schools that children are receiving these money are going. So that's 8% in pure administration costs. Plus, and I can't find how much it is, they're going to give them a little money to market it. I don't understand a legislature that harps on me for my 1.8% administration cost. 1.8 here in LISD is what we run. That they're willing to let 8% of $1 billion go simply to more government. That's not conservative. That is not a good use of taxpayer dollars. Instead, they could put that money and put it into our public education system that would help more children. That would help more children get their wraparound services that they deserve so that they can be successful in our economy in Texas.
Well, I think you know, if you've ever heard me speak at a board work session or a board meeting, you know how I feel. I feel like that S's are not something that we have gone down there and just drawn the line in the sand with. We've asked them to work with us on it. I've been in their offices. And what we have asked, though, is that they get school funding for public schools right first. And that they have not done. They have never done that. So if they have extra money after they get that right, maybe, but no, not at this point in time. They do not have this funding model for public schools, right? Why would you introduce a new funding model to do even who knows what with? I have asked for a review of even charter schools and their funding. Haven't got it. So that's how I feel.
Sheila, what security measures would you support to keep students and teachers safe on campus? What measures would you keep in place, change, or add?
I am very proud of the investment that we make in security. We spend well over, I want to say it's $6 million, than what the, between $3 and $6 million, since I don't know the number, of what the state gives us and what we actually spend to keep our students safe. That's very important to me, again, as a mom of a current student, to make sure she is safe in the classroom. We've done a lot of great things. I'm not at liberty to talk about those, but I support doing that. I will say that even with the Guardian program, that has been great, even though that was mandated by the state. We've done a good job with our training and to make sure that those personnel are in place. So again, we keep our students safe. We see it in the news. There are a lot of things that I would look at, probably clear backpacks, making sure that we check everybody when they come to track meets and extracurricular activities. But I think we do a great job in that regard. Mr. Garrett does a great job leading that, and I would continue to support that.
I would concur with Ms. Taylor. I'm very proud of the board's support of our safety and security measures across the district. Some are not speakable. The Guardians is probably our most visual thing that you see now at our elementary schools. I would say our Guardians get 10 times the number of hours of training that are required by the state. Our Guardians they do amazing work, and they are part of that campuses as they rotate around. I believe that we have put a system in place to make sure that our campuses are as safe and secure as possible. More layers will be coming next year when we look at large events and where we will have scanners available. And that is all thanks to the voters for approving our safety and security bonds. So thank you for that. But Ms. Taylor is absolutely correct. We spend $6 million more on safety and security than we receive from the state. So that's $6 million that we spend on what I think is a valuable program instead of in the classroom.
I concur with what you said and with what Ms. Taylor said also. I just wanted to say that the one thing that we can share from our closed sessions is it is always adamant that we don't do this the state way. We don't do this somebody else's way. We do this the LISD way. And the LISD way has started way before the state made safety a priority. LISD started way before then. And so what you do is you hire the best, you train them the best way possible, and you let them do their job. And when we get information or a suggestion from Matt Garrett, we know that his word is true, and so we can act on that. But I think it goes back to what is the LISD way? And we've always made safety a priority, long before the state. So I would just continue that LISD way.
I don't think there's anything more important than student safety, but it's also teacher safety, and it's campus safety in general. I think we have to make sure that we're looking at that whole picture. And it's district-wide. It's not just high schools. It's not just my school, your school. We need to make sure that we are prepared and have the right people in the room for every student, whether that's special education or if that's at the Student Success Center, or if that's, in a pre-AP class in middle school or something. We have to make sure that we're doing that. And I think we do a good job. But we can certainly invest more, particularly in those more fringe cases, because those, unfortunately, are oftentimes the kids that get overlooked. And we need to be advocating for every single student, regardless of their circumstances.
Jenny, I have a two-part question for you.
Carter.
How do you propose maintaining educator confidence in LISD, and what strategies would you suggest for recruiting and retaining high-quality teachers and staff? That's one.
That's just the first part?
That's just the first part.
Wow, okay.
To take notes.
So,
What is your position on performance-based pay for teachers? You can wrap them there together.
so I think I'm going to start with the second question first, in that I don't believe that performance-based pay works in education, because every kid learns differently, and we meet children where we find them. And what that does is it makes education competitive. And education shouldn't be competitive, education should be collaborative. And those are two very different things. I believe how we do what we do best and why we have the lowest turnover in North Texas area is the culture that we have created in LISD. I also think great teachers recruit other great teachers. And so if you can keep your teachers happy, and I'm going to say this again, I said this at the beginning of the year, and that is I'm so grateful that teachers showed up. I am so grateful to our staff for showing up because we weren't able to do a pay raise last year. And this year we were able to do a stipend once we got our audit. But I'm so grateful that they showed up. And they showed up because of the culture that we have built here in LISD. And I think that is a tribute to Dr. Rapp and what she has created.
Second part. If you'll tell me, if you'll repeat the question.
I shall.
Because I agree with her on that one.
How do you propose maintaining educator confidence in LISD, and what strategies would you suggest for recruiting and retaining high-quality teachers and staff? Part one. Part two, what is your position on performance-based pay for teachers?
Second part, of course, no, because I think that creates a situation where new teachers and teachers who are struggling learn from experienced and great teachers. And when you put them in competition with each other, why should I share my strategies with you? We have a collaboration of just uniqueness here in LISD. I walked a campus the other day. It was a middle school campus, and we changed the schedule. And we were talking to the principal there about that change in the schedule. And she said, you know what, we're working through it because you know what? We have met as a team, as middle school principals, and I have learned some great techniques from somebody who was all on the other side of the district. So I went down that path too, that she did. But in retaining our teachers, I think that we have to continue to recruit, and I think that we have to continue to listen to our teachers.
I'm going to follow the trend and answer the second one first. The short answer is no. Performance-based pay is not a good idea. What is a good idea, though, is incentivizing outcomes and performance. So if everybody's paid the same, but you have, say, key areas, positive outcomes and success could warrant stipends. This has happened all over the country. I could give you case studies if you'd like it. I think it's something to look into. And in terms of attracting and retaining quality educators, it's not only making sure that we can pay at competitive rates, which is absolutely important, but beyond that is the fact that we need to make sure that we do have a collaborative environment. I've worked with folks at other schools that, I mean, a lot of times that's what it is. Do you feel like you're part of a team or not? And some campuses in LISD are better than others from what I understand. And I just think we should do everything we can to support that closening of the educators in a campus and building that strong community.
So no, I don't agree with performance-based pay. I think it has been discussed already that pits teachers against each other, and it ruins the collaborative environment that you need for everyone to be successful. As far as retaining our teachers, and we have one of the highest rates of retention. I believe it's about 85% going into 90%. But I think you have to pay them. I always say that because that's what I hear when I talk to teachers. It's great that you recognize me and that you think I do a good job, but please pay me fairly and competitively. I always say that teachers are not in this for the income, they're in it for the outcome. But still, we want to make sure that they feel supported, that we're giving them the best opportunities for professional development, that we are making sure their work-life balance is great, and that we're relieving some of the admin things that they have to do and giving them some of their time back. And we've done a lot of those things. We've done stipends for hard-to-fill positions. We've done cafeteria monitors so they have time back, and my time is out, so.
It's not.
Not enough time.
Catherine, how do you see the role of the PTA in a district like LISD? And how would you support its mission as a trustee?
Well, as Ms. Prosnick, I am a member of every PTA. And thank you all for making that a possibility where we just have to write one check. There were years where we wrote several checks. But I think supporting them in their mission, and I think that that is really, and standing alongside them. We were in Austin for Rally Day, and we sat there, and we stood with them, and we walked those streets to the Capitol with them. And I think knowing that we support them, our legislative priorities are not always the same. They align sometimes, but this year we took one. They took, I think, 4 or 5. But you see that connection and having that open dialogue with them. I think being on their campuses and at their events is very supportive to them. It shows them that not only do we say we care, but we also care enough to give of our time and our treasures. And so I think that that's how we can support you, and we will continue to.
Could you repeat the question, please?
How do you see the role of the PTA in a district like LISD, and how would you support its mission as a trustee?
Yeah. So a two-parter. What do I see the role as? I think that it's the experience of the community within a specific group, and the beauty of having the whole district wide is that you can create connective fiber and those kind of neural synapses to really create some very what's the word? It's emergence. I could talk for hours about that. It's a fun concept. But creating emergence. In terms of support, I think it's very important not just to recognize and acknowledge, but to actually give genuine support as well as making sure that any resourcing that's needed is aware at the board level and given when able.
I think the role of the PTA is one of partnership and collaboration with the district. And for me, I feel like I cut my teeth, if you will, and hone my leadership skills by starting at the PTA. I already had a heart for kids, but it gave me the ability to have a heart for all kids. I love the mission. I love the partnership, that the parents are working together with the teachers, that they all work together with the district to make sure that our students feel supported. I agree with Ms. Sells. We should be supporting you with our time, talents, and treasure. I'm poor, and I still have a child in school, so I'm only a member of the Lewisville feeder pattern and Marcus. But even with me serving as vice president, even though I sit on the board and I'm board secretary, I make the time to actually serve in a PTA where my daughter attends and to make sure that I support the PTA in everything that they do.
I think the PTA is kind of like the 6th star after our 5 high school stars, if you will, because I think it is something that is so valuable in this district because of how it works together with all of the campuses as well as with the district. I think how you continue that partnership is something that Dr. Rapp has done. I know that she meets with the Lewisville ISD Council PTA's president, who brings along another board member along the way every month. That's a way that you stay connected and knowing exactly what the PTA needs are, and you don't wait to be reactive, you get to be proactive. I think the way that you partner with the PTAs to realize what a valuable amount of talent there is across this district at all of our PTAs and how they serve our kids. And I think that you go to their events. No one throws a carnival as well as a PTA. I think that business schools should look at how they run carnivals across this district, and they could learn a thing or two. I think that there's valuable talent. To Ms. Taylor's point, I also cut my teeth coming all the way up for my leadership skills.
Ryan, what do you see as the future role of public education in our society?
Yeah, I think there is no more important role than public education in the future of our society. And unfortunately, we are in a state that in many ways sees public education as a backstop or a nuisance, and it should be the gold standard. We should be ensuring that our public schools are schools that people want to come to. And people want to come to LISD. And we need to make sure that we continue that trend of excellence, and that we are investing in our schools, in our students, in our educators. Because, again, there's no more important role in the future of our society than public education. We believe fundamentally as a community, a state, a country, that we are all better by educating everyone. And I stand firmly behind that idea in public education, and that's my time.
What do you see as the future role of public education in our society?
I think it is a critical role because I believe about 85%, if not higher, of all students are educated through public education. I know I came through public education, and it is where you get that foundation for what you're going to do later in life. It's where you learn where you're not only educated, but you learn about working with others, working as a team, where you can become a leader, all those things that matter as you grow up. And I think giving that foundation is very important, and we're under attack. Public education is under attack, and I don't think it's unfair, and I think also we need to do a better job of telling our story. Many people don't know that we educate most of the kids. And so we need to do a better job of telling our story and marketing what it is that we do, creating and inspiring learners and leaders.
I would say the future of public education is up to you. What do you want to see? Who do you vote into the legislature? Because that's who really decides what the future of public education is. It's being decided right now down in Austin. And if you don't agree with those decisions, then you need to put different people down in Austin. That will determine the future of public education. Public education is the backbone of democracy. And I will just leave it at that.
I used to think that I knew what the future of public education would look like. And now I'm not so sure. I believe it's going to look different. I believe it's going to still touch the amount of people that it touches. But at this time, I will tell you that I'm not sure what it's going to look like. I will tell you that it is the most important thing in our country. When you walk out of here, count the first 85 people you meet. It's a lot. Those are the 85, and it has only gone down. We used to educate 95% of this population. I'm a product of public education. But what I will say is I want a board of trustees that I serve with that no matter what changes come about in public education, that we work together to make it the best for our students.
Sheila, please state 2 or 3 major goals you want our school district to accomplish during your term of office, and describe the steps you would take to see that those goals are achieved. I'll read that again.
Okay.
Please state 2 or 3 major goals you want our school district to accomplish during your term of office, and describe the steps you would take to see that those goals are achieved.
The first one is an increase to student outcomes, and I say that full well knowing that the STAR test is not the best indicator of what students know. Our students are definitely more than a test score, but we do have some improvements we could make with our third grade reading and math scores. We do have some improvements we can make with having our students be career, college, and military ready. So I would love to see us focus on that. That is going to take funding because we're going to need interventions. We'll probably need more teachers and specialists. So that's the second part that I would work on is the funding. Of course, as a CPA, finances are important to me. So I would look at streamlining or consolidating the district so we have more monies available for those types of programs and that type of support.
I think 2 or 3 things that I would really like to see that occur over the next 3 years. Absolutely, I'd like to see an increase in student outcomes, especially when it comes to foundational learning in third grade math, and third grade reading, because once you can get them, if you can get them at that age, it's much easier than waiting down the road. I also agree that they're more than a test score, and I would like to see districts being able to use their own measure for student learning. The other one is, and it's on our list, which is 100% participation in high school in a fine arts, athletic, or an extracurricular. Because that has proven over and over again that kids who participate in one of those have better grades, they have better attendance, and they're far more likely to graduate from high school. Those 2 things combined, I think, show that education should be the focus of what we look at going forward, because when you have a good educational system, that's why we have over 1,100 people from outside of our district want to come to our district.
And I agree with my colleagues on what those priorities would be, but I will say that last week and then even today, I went back and read our long-range plan. And that really is our focus, that long-range plan. We spend a lot of time in developing that, and that really hits on a lot of these points that my 2 colleagues have mentioned. And I think, once again, I'm going to say it, it's not just what I want. That was a collaboration, and it wasn't a short 15-minute meeting. It was a collaboration of 7 people up here who we don't see each other socially, but we respect each other once we get on that dais. We respect each other, we respect their opinions, and so what they bring to the table, we listen to. And so I would say that long-range plan is those things, and it's student outcomes, it's graduation rate. We're so close. We're so close to 100%. So, yeah.
So two goals. One is, if you look at the most recent reports for the last 2 years that are released between the different classes and grades of testing at or above grade level, 60% of those scores have gone down. That's trending in the wrong direction. And that's after we were trending up. We are now trending down. That's a new phenomenon. And so I think that my goal would be to have every trend going up. I think we need to be increasing the number of students performing at and above grade level. And how we do that is thinking creatively and collaboratively about these complicated, complex issues. The other one, plain and simple, I think that it's completely doable to lower the INS rate by 10 cents. That's about $2,000 per person, per homeowner that would be saved. There's just too much waste in our bond program, and I know I'm getting low on time. So I'm happy to talk with anyone about it specifically, but I have tons of specific examples. Thank you.
Jenny. Board members must at times decide to support or to oppose controversial issues that have vocal supporters on both sides. What process would you use, and with whom would you consult in making such decisions?
Well, when things have come before the board over the last 9 years that have been controversial, the data drives it. And what's the solution? I often, when looking at things, you have to see is what's being proposed the solution. I'm going to go back in time to November of 2019. The administration had proposed consolidating orchestra. We had over 45 speakers come to the dais. And at that meeting, I just asked for it then to be put on the agenda so the board could discuss it at that time. Administration then pulled it, and we don't have orchestra consolidation in the district. Very proud that that happened. But that happened because I had looked at the numbers, and the numbers weren't there to consolidate, in my opinion. I was prepared to have a full discussion with administration and the board.
Question. I got all tied up in her answer.
Certainly. Board members must at times decide to support or to oppose controversial issues that have vocal supporters on both sides. What process would you use, and with whom would you consult in making such decisions?
Right. And once again, it is the data. What are the facts telling us? And it's not facts that are questionable. Those are not facts. Those are questions. And so you have to look at the facts. We've been through a lot in 9 years. And I will tell you that you have to be available as a trustee. I read every page of board book, every time. And my colleagues can attest to that. I don't believe some of my questions, I don't believe I've ever not turned in questions on that board book. But you have to have somebody available that knows how to ask the questions and to make sure that the facts also align with the action.
So I would agree. Who would you consult? The answer seems to be data. But the other question of that, or the other side of that question, is process. And that's something that I think we as a district need to work on. People are smart, and people get engaged, and they really dig into the data and the issues. And if you take folks along that process, if you invite them in and you walk through a full examination of the issue on all sides, incorporate that feedback, invest in the community, and see what you get out of it. Try and improve the process, not just between the board as a relatively insular body. Try and expand it as much as you can, because if you can take folks along the process, they may not like the outcome, but they'll understand it. And I think that's ultimately what we're trying to get to, is not universal agreement, but a consensus on this is what's needed, this is what has to happen, this is what needs to be done. And it's not hard to get there, you just have to follow a good process.
Well, I'm sitting here with a CPA and a master's in accounting and 2 weeks away from a doctorate in education. So definitely the data and what does research say. I also tend to look at what are the experts telling me. If we have a team and they know more about something than I know, I'm going to let them present and use that information to drive my decisions. It was no different with school closures, where we took that out to the community. We had a community-based committee. We also had other experts opining. We had demographic reports, and we knew what the data was telling us. Now, I could have made the easy decision for me politically, or I could make the right decision that was ethical as a person that is a CPA and that knows numbers. And so I let the data drive me and the facts. And I hope that I can convince people that the data is driving these decisions.
Before we move to our rapid-fire questions, let's give our candidates a round of applause. Timer, can you give us 60 seconds to take a breath, to take a deep breath?
We're talkers.
I need more than a minute. I'm very loquacious.
A sentence.
Oh, we're still on break.
Yeah, we got about 30 more seconds.
There you go, yeah.
Just
Give us some
breathe.
good beats.
I was here to say a sentence can be.
We'll cut each other off. How about that?
Fred E. Cummings.
fire. Sounds dangerous.
Rapid sentence.
Because
There we go.
rapid fire sounds kind of dangerous.
There you go.
Emma, are you ready?
Okay.
I was going to say,
Don't go crazy.
sure, we've got an English teacher.
Way
in
to
the house.
Don't give two sentences, so.
Semicolon, lots of semicolons.
Candidates, are you ready?
Starting me. Oh, jeez. Okay, lucky me.
I'm going to start with Jenny.
Oh, Jenny.
Mixing it up.
There you go.
Good luck
Pulling
in
number
one
one.
answer.
To be effective, a board member must gain support from other members for his or her issues. Explain how you plan to get other board members to support your goals.
Well, I think that assumes that we're campaigning for certain things. I think that we individually come to the table collectively and work as a team. I have never polled my fellow board members for any vote. I come with what I believe is my opinion and my point of view, and that is longer than a sentence. I am so sorry.
Catherine?
Same question?
Yes, let's do that. Yes.
Say it again. I know. Say it again. I had a really good answer until she ran on.
To be effective, a board member must gain support from other members for his or her issues. Explain how you plan to get other board members to support your goals.
To only do that in public is my answer, and that's a one answer, because we do not meet and discuss things without public acknowledgement of those meetings.
If I can make this one sentence. Everyone at this table and that sits behind that dais is in it to try and do good for the students. So use that to find consensus in what's best.
First, I'm going to pay everybody to vote. No, I'm not going to pay everybody. I thought it was a little, I'm teasing. I think the spirit of collaboration, I like the public vote, and then also just putting the students first, putting a student's face on a decision and letting that drive whatever it needs to be.
Catherine? Once the board has voted to approve an action or policy, what do you believe your responsibility is, even if you did not vote in favor of it?
Support, and that is in our board policy. In more than one sentence. Oh, that's more than one sentence. I thought you were talking about board policy. It's in our board policy that once we leave that dais, that we support the board's decision. Because once again, it's not about what I believe. It's about what this team believes. We're a team. We're very unique in all other elected positions.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Once the board has voted to approve an action or policy, what do you believe your responsibility is, even if you did not vote in favor of it?
Increase understanding in the community.
I would say support and consensus, because we are a team of 8 and a decision is a board decision.
Not about me, it's about what the board's will is. You support it.
Ryan, how would you respond to a parent who wants the district to remove or restrict access to certain books in a school library or classroom?
And this is so hard. Better understand the issue and find amicable resolutions.
Remind them that we have a process that they can utilize to question books, and also remind them in some certain cases they have the ability to opt out for their own child.
Like all things in LISD, we have a process and a procedure for that.
I agree. Go online and look at our policy. It's there.
Sheila, would you support an independent audit or review of LISD spending and priorities? Second part, how would you use that information to inform decision-making?
I'll remind you, I am a CPA with a master's in accounting. I wholeheartedly believe in independent audits. I also chair the audit committee. Oh, this is too long. I also chair the audit committee. How would I use that information to inform decisions?
All right, this is going to be a compound sentence for a compound question. We are audited every year. It's called the first report. It is presented to the board usually in December. We have had a clean and unmodified report since I have been on the board. Secondly, we have, for that, and then the board did a risk assessment 4 years ago where we looked at the risk assessment of all of our programs in the district, and we use that for our audits.
Yeah, we do that. We do that already, and we even did an internal audit of our board. So we go beyond what really is required by the state.
I keep trying to find the most condensed way. This is so tricky. I love this format. This is hard. So just making sure I understand the question. How about we do it that way? It's third-party audit. How would you use the information, correct? Sorry, making you flip back. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. It depends upon the firm and criteria. How it's used would depend upon that information.
Let's give a round of applause for our candidates. And now we'll have our closing statements. Yes.
So, in closing, I want to express once again my deepest gratitude to the Lewisville Council of PTAs for organizing this forum. Your commitment to our students is invaluable, and together we can continue to make positive strides for our district. I appreciate the partnership. As I look ahead, my dedication to the education and well-being of our students and staff remains unwavering. I am committed to listening, learning, and leading in a way that upholds the values of transparency, integrity, and accountability. We face challenges, but we also have so much to celebrate. Have you been to a board meeting lately? There's always potential to grow and thrive, and we do that in LISD. I thank you for your engagement tonight, for your support, and for belief in the mission of LISD. I eagerly anticipate working alongside all of my trustees to ensure that our district continues to shine as a model for educational excellence. I want you to have a great evening, and as I always say, if I can be of any service, please don't hesitate to reach out.
And once again, Catherine Sells, place 2, unopposed but not unappreciative. And so please continue to bubble in that little bubble, just so that we know. It's a reminder to me that we're in this together, that we are partners in the future education of the kids that are here in LISD. And so I just would like to thank the council again for putting on this forum. And thank you all for those that you all came out in person. I know that we've got those watching online probably too. But just to see faces, friendly faces, sometimes we've gone toe-to-toe in this room. I see the faces around here that we've not always agreed. And that's great because, you know what? I maintain that I learn the most from those that I don't agree with. And so as we continue this journey and I continue my 3 years, I want to promise you that I continue to focus on our 4 cornerstones I was on the focus group that actually helped develop those cornerstones. And those are my priority. Every decision that I ever make is based on those. So thank you all so much.
Being here has been a pleasure, so thank you for having me. Thank you for putting this on. It's greatly appreciated. And I just want to express the gratitude to the folks up here with me for stepping up and stepping forward and trying to make a positive difference. I think that's all we're trying to do here, all of us. And so, regardless of the outcomes, proud of y'all. Y'all know what's going to happen. So, but it's a core fundamental belief of mine that I'll talk to anybody about anything. If I said something up here that maybe I didn't articulate well or wasn't understood, I'd love the opportunity to talk to you and try and clarify my position, provide some understanding. I think that's what being any form or level of representative is really about, is being available and trying to understand and connect. And I've got a few specific things that I'd like to advocate for. It's on my website, eccles4lisd.com. Got to plug that. The three big ones being financial stability, responsibility, transparency, community involvement and engagement, as well as ensuring that students are the center of every decision we make, every process that we go through, and that academic excellence is always the outcome and what we're striving to attain. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for putting this on and providing a platform and an opportunity to let us speak how we see the role of the board and what we want the future of this district to look like. Thank you.
3 years ago, I sat in this seat and I told you to take a chance on me, on somebody who didn't have the best public education, because I grew up in Tunica, Mississippi, the poorest county in America at the time. They called it America's Ethiopia. But you know, I wanted to be a CPA. I didn't have my mom. Many of you know that story. I had a legal guardian. But what I had were teachers. Teachers that told me I could be anything I wanted to be. It didn't matter how poor I was. It didn't matter the color of my skin or where I came from. And all I've wanted to do since I've been on this board is to give that same experience to every child. I have been blessed in LISD because my daughter, as I mentioned, has been in a safe environment that has been inclusive. Her teachers have loved on her, have given her great care, have given her great education and access to programs. They have allowed her to fly as well, letting her know she can be anything that she wants to be. I'm asking for 3 more years. Everything that I said I was going to do for my first term, I have done those things. So again, I ask you to go to the website and look at any board meeting. Look at where I've been and what I've been doing. It's not about what I'm going to do. I've been doing the work. I ask you again, search my record, examine it, and see if I need to be fired or if I deserve. I have worked hard for, and I have earned 3 more years to give my blood, sweat, and tears to this district, to love on every kid, and to have the same heart I had for kids 3 years ago. I ask you to stay with the CPA, re-elect the vet, and rock with the new doc. Thank you.
Let's have another round of applause for all of our candidates. At this time, Carrie Baker has comments for us.
I just want to say again, thank you to Mr. Dorsey and Ms. Llewellyn, our moderator and our timekeeper, giving us your evening. We thank you for your help. I want to say thank you, obviously, to each of our candidates for stepping forward to serve. We know that running for the school board is not a small commitment, and it takes time and energy, and we are so grateful for your willingness and your sense of responsibility to represent our community. I also want to say thank you to my council board and the advocacy committee, for it was a team effort tonight, so thank you. And of course, we want to thank everyone here tonight, again, whether you're here in person or watching online. for tuning in and taking time to learn about the issues that are affecting our schools. We remind you that early voting is open, and it is open through April 29th, and Election Day is May 3rd. And on behalf of the LISD Council of PTAs, we want to also remind you that advocacy does not end at the ballot box. Your efforts have only just begun. So we encourage you to stay informed about these issues that have been discussed tonight, how they continue to unfold, and keep the lines of communication open with those who are elected to serve. Thank you again for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.